Good morning, everybody. I'm Zach. This is SportITood coming to you live on the morning of October 11th, 2018. The NBA season 5 days away from getting started. That's what I have for you today. I'll be going through my 16 playoff teams. First, the 8 in the West, going from top to bottom, 1 through 8, and then with the East. You'll probably have some questions, so I will explain at the end why the teams I have just falling short will not get the job done. Starting in the West, it's pretty obvious at the top. Number 1 seed in the Western Conference, we got the Golden State Warriors. They finished second last year in the West, surprisingly. But, that's not happening again. Steph and Clay coming back healthy. Kevin Durant, Draymond Green is going to have another terrific season. DeMarcus Cousins whenever he gets healthy, this team is going to be unbelievable. Curry, Durant, Thompson, Green, Cousins, arguably the best starting 5 that we've ever seen in the NBA, especially in the modern era. As good as those Celtic Big 3 teams were, the Heat Big 3, that starting lineup is just something else. The bench will be good enough to get it done. Sean Livingston coming back, Andre Iguodala, they had Jonas Jerebko, Jordan Bell, another year older. We're going to see some of Damian Jones, who's been stuffing the stat sheet in preseason. And with Steve Kerr at the helm once more, it's hard to see anything less than first place for the Warriors. Got them going 66-16. Number 2, Houston Rockets got them coming in at 63-19. They won the West last year. Now they have a much different team. Luke Mbah a Moute lost in free agency, as was Trevor Ariza. They re-signed Clint Capella and Chris Paul, which were the 2 most important things they had to do. They brought in James Ennis and Michael Carter-Williams in free agency. They picked up Carmelo Anthony in free agency. And then they made a trade to bring in Brandon Knight, who went healthy. Brandon Knight, a terrific player and a great backup for Chris Paul. Eric Gordon still coming off that bench. And then Marquise Chris gives them great athleticism with the second unit. Whatever they decide they want to make the starting lineup look like, it doesn't really matter whether Melo starts or comes off the bench. He'll be okay with his good buddy Chris Paul. I'm sure he's going to get along with James Harden. He doesn't have the dance moves like Harden. But, yeah, he's got tremendous skill. He just didn't fit in with OKC. He's going to get his chances. Last year's Rockets team needed Carmelo, who missed 27 threes in a row at that point. You got to believe Melo would have hit at least 1 or 2 of those attempts if he had a few tries in the 27. So the Rockets is 63-19, 3 games behind the Warriors. 2 less wins from them last season when they won 65. Number 3, 4, and 5, you might say, are interchangeable. I got the OKC Thunder at 58-24. I think that losing Carmelo for them is a great thing, as it allows Russ and PG, when Russ gets healthy, he should be back hopefully next week or the following week, only miss a few games to start the year. It allows him and Paul George to establish themselves as alpha males. Steven Adams' numbers have gone up every single year, and we're now in that time where every single big man's trying to improve their three-point game and start shooting them in-game. Wouldn't be surprised if we see that from Steven Adams this year. I think Jeremy Grant becoming a starter in place of Carmelo opens up the offense a bit. He does a great job of slashing and getting to the rim so he can take it from the three-point line right to the basket. Very athletic finisher. Nerlens Noel, big upgrade. They had no backup big men last year. They really played Jeremy Grant, who's a 3-4 man at the 5 behind Adams. That doesn't help anybody. Noel gives them rim protection for 48 minutes along with Adams. And Dennis Schroeder, they've lacked a good 6th man for the last couple of seasons. Now, him coming in here is a huge get. Raymond Felton led the OKC bench with 7 points per game last year. We could expect much better from Patrick Patterson. We expect Noel to get at least 6 to 8 points tonight. And Dennis Schroeder going to be very important for this offense, putting points on the board. 58-24 in the 3 seed. And obviously, this contingent on how Billy Donovan does as a coach. He's not the best coach in the league. He's not the worst, but he's probably in the bottom tier of NBA head coaches. So this is subject to change, but I do believe if they're healthy, if Russ comes back in full, him and Paul George both be All-NBA first and second team, respectively, and they'll win 58 games. Number 4, just 2 games behind, the LA Lakers. There are a lot of question marks with LeBron's new team and how good they actually will be when the year begins. They signed a number of veterans to help out the young core, and Beasley, Stevenson, JaVale McGee, and Rajon Rondo to come in with LeBron. But, it's going to be fun. Second year. Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma trying to build off strong rookie seasons, as is Josh Hart. Brandon Ingram, the slim Kevin Durant he's been referred to as. We're going to see what he's made of. He had 26 points in the preseason game against the Warriors last night. It's just preseason. He had his moments his first 2 years. He was much better in year 2 than year 1. I'm excited to see what Brandon Ingram brings to the table for the Lakers, because he is going to be one of the X factors along with LeBron. How LeBron fits with Lonzo will be fun to see. And, there's going to be a lot of attention on this young squad. That's the LeBron effect. LeBron James plays for your team. You're going to be in the news every night. Every little breath you take, every interesting outfit you wear, you're going to get a lot of media attention. So hopefully these young Lakers are ready for it. Rondo has played for the Big Three. He and Lance are two of LeBron's longtime Eastern Conference rivals. So it's funny, they're all teaming up in the West now. But nevertheless, 56 and 26, I do think the Lakers will fit very well with one another. But this does set up a likely second-round matchup if they get past the 5 seed we're about to talk about, the Golden State Warriors in round 2. All right, yes, number 5, the Utah Jazz have them coming in at 52 and 30. Led by second-year standout Donovan Mitchell and defensive-minded big man double-double machine, the stifled tower Rudy Gobert. The Jazz will be fun to watch this year. They're a terrific defensive team who are very tough to stop when they get going. Supporting cast of Ricky Rubio, Joe Ingles, Jay Crowder, and Derek Favors are going to make this team tough. Favors starting to work on that three-point shot so we could play big minutes. Next to Rudy, Jay Crowder starting coming off the bench, going to be a terrific fit once more. They had Thabo Cephalosha, who missed most of last season with an injury. Joe Ingles has become a lights-out three-point shooter, one of the best in the league last year. And Ricky Rubio now hits his jumpers with high efficiency. He had a couple of 30-point games last season. And you add Royce O'Neal, second-year man now, to the mix. This is a young team, though. Donovan Mitchell, I think, will be an all-star this year. I think Rudy Gobert gets in as well. I'm very excited at the prospect of the Utah Jazz trying to build off what was a very impressive 2017-2018 season as Donovan Mitchell cements himself as the next superstar of the league. And some change here. My original prediction had the San Antonio Spurs in the number 6, so I'm pushing them back 2 spots to number 8. So that'll bring the Denver Nuggets in as my number 6 seed. I had the same prediction. Actually, I had Denver in the 7th spot last year as well. I got them coming in at 46 and 36. We're going to up that 2 more wins. So the Denver Nuggets at 48 and 34. There's simply too much talent on this team for them to miss the playoffs again. Nikola Jokic just got paid big money, so he and Paul Millsap's they're going to combine and make about $60 million this year. But, they're both all-star caliber big men. Jokic has improved dramatically from year 1 to year 3. The stats, point, rebound, assist, he does it all except protect the rim. He's a little soft, a little turnstile in the paint. But nevertheless, on offense, he's going to produce big numbers. And Paul Millsap is getting another $30 million this year. He was an all-star all 4 years in Atlanta. Missed most of last season with injury, but did not look great when he was on the floor. Look at the starting backcourt of Jamal Murray and Gary Harris. Again, you're investing big money in Gary Harris. You have high expectations for what he can do. He's a great shooter and a very good defender. Jamal Murray now going into year 3, hopefully healthy. They're going to need him to be a big-time scorer. They're going to need him to serve as that third option possibly. They could use 18 to 19 points a game. And then Will Barton rounding out the most offensive-minded starting 5 in the league that doesn't play great defense. We'll see. Millsap, the anchor of that unit. We'll see what it gets done. Likely going to miss Wilson Chandler for his D, as bad as his O was. And then you bring in Isaiah Thomas and Trey Lyles pouring in points off the bench, and you have a top 5 offense in the league. They're going to score a lot. Again, Mike Malone hasn't done a great job with this team. They should have gotten in last year, and they lost the 1-game play-in against the Timberwolves in Game 82. A lot of potential for this Nuggets team. They score a lot. I think the defense is going to hurt them. They're not likely going to get out of the first round at the end of the year, but they are getting in at 48 and 34. My number 8 seed, who was supposed to be my number 7 seed, I'm moving them up a spot as well. At 46-36, the Memphis Grizzlies. You know, it's tough to pick the Grizzlies over the likes of the Timberwolves, of the Pelicans, of the Trailblazers, who all got in last year. But they're finally healthy. When was the last time Marc Gasol and Mike Conley missed the playoffs together? 2008? 10 years. Last year they went 22-60. Gasol was in and out. Conley missed the last 70 games of the season. And they were just hurt across the board. They're obviously trying to adjust to life without Zach Randolph. And a lot of young guys became starters. And he also changed head coaches from David Fizdale to ex-Rockets coach J.B. Bickerstaff. It is what it is. But now they add big man Jaren Jackson to play next to Marc Gasol. He's a defensive-minded big man who can knock down the three. Kyle Anderson, slow-mo as they called him in San Antonio, going to take the offense. I think he's going to be a great playmaker in there as a starter. And Garrett Temple, under the radar, great defensive name, 3-and-D guy from Sacramento. He's also going to add an element they really haven't had. He's the best wing defender they've had since Tony Allen, and he can hit the three with high efficiency. Chandler Parsons, no matter how much he plays, he's going to be healthy for the first time in his Memphis tenure. And I think he's going to have a big impact, 10 to 15 points per game. Despite what they're paying him, that's still going to be better than what they got the last 2 years from Parsons, who will finally be off a minutes restriction, might I add. Mike Conley's a fringe all-star point guard, as I mentioned. He was out the last 70 games of 2017-2018. You put Mike Conley in the lineup, and you get a lot better. It's his birthday today, by the way. Happy 31st, Mike Conley Jr. Big season in story, averaged 20 points, 4 boards, and 6 assists a game on 40% three-point shooting his last fully healthy campaign. And he helped the Grizzlies to 2 wins over the Spurs in the first round. Keep that in mind. It's going to be a very competitive team when you throw in second-year guard Dillon Brooks, veteran Marshawn Brooks. You got JaMychal Green coming in off the bench by season's end. Omri Caspi, Wayne Selden. It's a very deep team. They also upgraded backup point guard with rookie Javon Carter and Shelvin Mack. Andrew Harrison was kind of iffy the last few years. This will be a very tough team to beat. I think J.B. Bickerstaff does a much better job than he did as an intern last year. And my number 8 seed, originally my number 6 seed, the San Antonio Spurs. The loss to DeJounte Murray is going to sting. There is no doubt about that. But, you know, look at what they have. DeMar DeRozan is going to be fantastic. Obviously, he's going to miss Kyle Lowry, and now he's got to play with a backup point guard for the whole season. But DeMar DeRozan is going to average 25 points per game. I have no doubts about that. LaMarcus Aldridge is going to do what he does. I think he's going to spread his game to the three-point line again. I really like his scoring capability. He does a lot for the Spurs offense, a terrific rebounder. Rudy Gay coming in now as a starter, I think lets him go back to being his most comfortable Rudy Gay self. This is the Rudy Gay that scored 25 points a game in Memphis, and Toronto, and Sacramento. Well, he didn't really help those teams do anything. He's never really played in a playoff series until last year. I do think it's going to open things up. He's going to be a very impressive third option for this Spurs team. They brought back Marco Bellinelli, a familiar face. He'll be a huge scoring threat off the bench along with Bryn Forbes. Whether it's Patty Mills or Derek White starting, we're probably going to see a pretty even split. Maybe Mills getting 28 minutes, White getting 20 to 25 a night. Mills started a career-high 36 games last year, only had 18 starts in his career prior to the season. But this team is filled with shooters. They're going to miss Tony. They're going to miss Mono. They're going to miss Danny Green. Fixtures in the Spurs for a number of years. But I think Pau Gasol is going to be better than last season. I think Jakob Poeltl is a big upgrade, whether he starts, comes off the bench as a big man for this squad. And it's going to be fun to see what the Spurs can do. It's going to be a tough year, but by the fringes of their uniforms, they're just going to get in and extend the playoff run for a 23rd year in a row. Just missing the playoffs. I had Portland's coming in at 43-39. I think they've impressed us the last few years by getting in, but CJ and Dame can't do it alone. Yusuf Nurkic's trying to shoot threes. He missed all 3 last night. He is hit or miss. They have no great wing players, obviously. They lost a few guys. Ed Davis. And over there, they're paying Evan Turner the big bucks. Pat Connaughton, who played every single game last year, got to replace him with Seth Curry, who I do like. And they also lost Shabazz Napier. He'll be replaced by Wade Baldwin IV. They're just missing a lot. they don't have consistency outside the backcourt, who are defensive liabilities every night. So sorry, Portland, you're missing it. Minnesota, they're not going to have Jimmy Butler, and whatever they get for him will not make them any better. I love Josh Richardson in Miami, but he is no Jimmy. He's not going to score the same way he does, despite being an All-NBA talent on defense. He just missed getting the selection last year. I love Karl Anthony Towns, but Jimmy Butler's exposed the weaknesses, the softness of the max contract signees, Towns and Wiggins. There's a lot to dislike in Minnesota. Thibodeau has no control of this team. And the Timberwolves did add Luol Deng in the offseason. Derrick Rose going to take on a bigger role. He's healthy. I like Jeff Teague, but they don't have it. Gorgui Dieng's getting overpaid, and it's eating away their money like moths eating clothing. So, sorry, Minnesota. And the Pelicans, they lost Rondo. They lost Cousins. Cousins only played half of last season anyway, but I think they're going to miss him tremendously, his presence. Same with Rondo. Assist maestro. Let Drew Holiday play off the ball and not focus on the point guard spot at all. Well, now they replace Rondo with Elfrid Payton. That's not an upgrade at all. Ian Clark now probably has to play some point. Frank Jackson, no NBA experience, has to do that. Jarrett Jack trying to make the team. He won't be any upgrade. He played for the New Orleans Hornets, but that was when he was still efficient. He did not have a great year for the Knicks last year. Sorry, Pelicans. I love Julius Randle. I do. But the lack of a small forward and depth will kill you. I have them at 5. And the Clippers, who I really wanted to put in my top 8 this year, I did last year, they just missed. Lost Austin Rivers. They lost DeAndre. A few other guys out. They brought back Luke Mbah a Moute, the best starting small forward, until they got Gallinari. If Gallo is healthy, they could be a terrific team. Tobias Harris, a great scorer. Lou Williams, 24 points per game last year. Nuts. Gortat will be okay as a big man. Will be better than he was in D.C., but nothing really impressive. They have great depth with Pat Beverly also being healthy. The rookies, Gilgeous Alexander, Jerome Robinson, Mike Scott spreading the floor, hitting threes off the bench. Just not a star. There's no star power. In the Western Conference, you're not making the playoffs without star power. Devin Booker needs some help in Phoenix. They have a good team. I think next year or the year after they'll get in. Not this year. The Sacramento Kings, Harry Giles, Marvin Bagley III will be real fun to watch. They're not getting it. Dallas, it might be Dirk's last year. Dennis Smith Jr. only going to get better. Harrison Barnes is going to finally, I think, average 20 points per game. DeAndre Jordan gives them terrific rim protection and a better attitude than they got from Nerlens Noel. And Luka Doncic, a lot of potential from him. I think he's going to be the next European superstar, but it's going to take a few years to blossom him into the player that they see long term. We're not sure if he's going to be a shooting guard or a small forward or a power forward. Wes Matthews in as a starter. Dirk, he might come off the bench. We don't know. When Doncic gets a clear role, he's going to be a star. From the West to the East, coming in as the number 1 seed for the second year in a row with the same record as last year. Again, this is probably one of the more questionable picks I have. I'm going to stick by it. The Toronto Raptors, first seed, 59-23. They'll finish with the same record as last year, despite making a coaching change, letting Dwayne Casey go. Casey now still in the East. He's coaching the Pistons, and letting Nick Nurse take over. I think Kawhi Leonard in his bounce back is going to have a monstrous season. He's dominated in preseason. I think the KL squared, Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard, going to be great pairing for this team. I think Danny Green, a better defender than DeRozan is going to help that backcourt D. Lowry already a terrific defender as is. And no matter what they do with the starting lineup, if Kawhi and Anunoby play together at the 3 and the 4, or Anunoby comes off the bench, Ibaka, Valanciunas, and Anunoby, all great defenders. Valanciunas protects the rim. Ibaka protects the rim and shoots the 3. Valanciunas also shoots the 3. Anunoby had a couple of big scoring games in the postseason, though the Raptors got swept by the Cavs. He was one of the bright spots, scoring more points then than we saw from him all season. Second-year man from British Columbia has a bright NBA future. And it's going to be exciting to watch the Raptors. Their bench again, they re-signed Fred VanVleet, DeLon Wright still there. They had Greg Monroe. And if Ibaka or Valanciunas are coming off the bench on certain nights, that's going to be a very nice lift they get. Obviously, CJ Miles is going to be buried in the 3 ball for another year. I love this Raptors team. Yes, it's going to be tough on Kyle Lowry not having his 4 a.m. McDonald's pal, DeMar DeRozan, his best friend. And we know DeRozan has struggled with mental health, as we saw last year. We heard about it from Kevin Love first, and then DeRozan gave his take. It's no joke. Obviously, Kyle Lowry, a guy that always cheered him up. Lowry was always there for DeRozan and vice versa. They're going to miss one another on different teams, but I don't think that's going to hinder Lowry's performance too much. Maybe his last year in Toronto as a result, but I'm very eager to watch Kawhi and Kyle take the Raptors to the 1 seed. Right behind them, 57-25, the Boston Celtics. They got a long-term commitment from Kyrie Irving, which is huge. That's exactly what they needed. They're going to have Gordon Hayward, an all-star in his last healthy season in Utah, back and ready to play a year after suffering the traumatic injury we watched against Cleveland. And then Al Horford, all-star big man. They're going to have, rounding out the starting 5, or Jaylen Brown and or Jason Tatum. Both guys can really score the rock. Jaylen Brown, massive improvement from year 1 to year 2. Jason Tatum, what a rookie season he had. He is going to be a star in the league. He's maybe a year away from being an all-star. Dunked on LeBron in Game 7. And then we look at the bench. Rozier, Smart, Morris, Ogilvy, and then Baines/Tice. So much depth. They are going to be so tough to stop. And obviously last year, a lot of the young guys got a big opportunity to play and play big minutes because of all the injuries. And so we know what they're capable of. Rozier starting at point guard in the playoffs. This team was a game away from the NBA Finals. Now you replace him with Kyrie Irving. Man, oh man. You replace the wings or whoever. You take Ogilvy or Morris out and you put in Hayward. Wow. So much depth. Brad Stevens will be coach of the year for his efforts this year. 57-25 are the Celtics. Number 3, the Philadelphia 76ers. I have them coming in at 51-31, 6 games behind Boston. These two teams are going to meet on opening night in 5 days. This is one less win than last season, but a big year is in store for Philly. With Ben Simmons having now a full year under his belt, and Markelle Fultz being healthy, these guys will be dangerous. Fultz, by the way, is starting this year. J.J. Redick coming off the bench. So the 6th man of the year watch begins in Philly with J.J. Redick, who averaged 17 a game last season. Joel Embiid will no doubt be an MVP candidate. Should he stay healthy, he'll have another mega season. Dario Saric is going to become a household name, I also believe. He slowly has been doing that. He's gotten better and better. They're going to miss Marco Bellinelli and Ersan Ilyasova, who they got midway through last season, but the additions of Mike Muscala and Marco Bellinelli, of Wilson Chandler, should suffice for now. Bellinelli had some big shots in the playoffs. They're going to miss his presence, but Wilson Chandler is going to be good this year. Fun team in Philly. Robert Covington should also have a big impact. It's going to be fun to track these Sixers all year long. Number 4. The Milwaukee Bucks. Have them coming in at 50-32. They are going to be very good. They lost Jabari Parker, but now they have depth. Terrific bench depth. They drafted the Villanova breakout star from the tournament, Dante DiVincenzo, and they signed old friend Ersan Ilyasova and 2-sport college athlete. Every game played for the Blazers last year, as we mentioned earlier, Pat Connaughton. There may not even be a role for Tony Snell, who's still making the big bucks for Milwaukee. Brook Lopez now signed to be the starting center, and they have a really good starting lineup. They threw Malcolm Brogdon in there in their Celtics series, and it paid dividends. Bledsoe, Brogdon, Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. If Giannis is shooting the 3 now, you got 5 dominant shooters. 4 guys that can take it to the rack. Chris Middleton, one of the most underrated, underappreciated players in the game today. Lopez going to have a major impact. Yeah, he struggled with his role in his role with the Lakers. I think he's going to get a lot more touches in Milwaukee. If they had an offensive-minded center, they may have done better against the Celtics. Thon Maker, John Henson, and Tyler Zeller all struggled to make a big impact while out there. And you look at their bench, all the possibilities. Connaughton, DiVincenzo, Dellavedova, Thon Maker, Ilyasova, obviously Tony Snell. So much depth. A lot of guys can come in and play. Giannis going to be hitting the jumper. I think he just may win his first MVP award this season. 50-32. And I think they're going to have a very fun playoff series with a number 5 seed Coming in, similar record to last year, 48-34, the Indiana Pacers. Very similar roster to last season. Victor Oladipo broke out last year in a major way. Oladipo is one of the best guards in the league. He comes back hungry. He's been working every day since the team got knocked out by the Cavs in Game 7. And we know for sure that Miles Turner's worth a lot in his game. His improvement going to be something to monitor for the Pacers. Tyreek Evans coming off the bench gives them that sixth man they didn't have last season. And Lance Stevenson does a good job off the bench. He's no sixth man. Still got Corey Joseph. Here's the backup PG. Also draft Aaron Holiday, who's going to have a nice impact. Domantas Sabonis, one of the best backup bigs in the league. Reliable fill-in starter. Maybe to switch with Turner, make him the sixth man. Nevertheless, Thad Young coming back for another season. And Bojan Bogdanovic going to need to score a lot of points like last year. He had the big playoff game against the Cavs. And with Oladipo leading the way, they're going to be fun to watch. And I do think Bucks-Pacers goes to 7 games. Bucks haven't won a playoff series since 2001, so watching them square off with the Pacers, who were a game away from unseating LeBron in his streak of consecutive Eastern Conference titles won last year in the opening round, it is going to be quite the battle. Coming in at number 6, the Washington Wizards. They will get in like last year, not fall short. It's going to be a very talented bunch. Jeff Green coming in to bolster the bench. Austin Rivers is that third guard they've long coveted. Marcus Thornton didn't do it. Jody Meeks didn't do it. Satoransky's been kind of Ramon Sessions, no. Impressive preseason performer Tim Frazier, no. They have not had a reliable backup guard. Satoransky was decent last year, but he's not the ideal guy. Austin Rivers could fill in for either Wall or Beal, play alongside one another, if not both of them. And the effort that he brings, career highs in points, rebounds, assists, and shooting percentages last year, Austin Rivers has come a long way. We know he wasn't in the league just for being Doc Rivers' son, but a talented player who was a standout in college after he just struggled with his first team. Dwight Howard protecting the paint. I think if his attitude is even half of what it's been the last few years as far as positivity goes, they'll be great. He hasn't gotten along with the Hawks or the Hornets. He had a rough end to his tenure in Houston. Now's his time. Dwight can be a major impact player for the for the Wizards, and it's going to be much better to watch than Gortat was. I like this team a lot. I think they're going to get Otto Porter Jr. the looks he's needed, the looks he deserves. I think Markieff Morris has a nice year. And Green and Rivers lead a potent bench attack. Jan Mahinmi's been seen shooting threes in preseason games. The clumsy-footed big man who's still making another $32 million in the next 2 years has to prove his worth somehow. Yeah, although I still don't understand why that contract was signed. If he can spread the floor and hit the J, it'll really help the second unit to open up the floor. Maybe you can get some lessons from Jason Smith. So 46-36, and they could pass the Pacers and or the Bucks if they're healthy. Wall and Beal have had injury problems in the past few years, and if they keep Porter and Morris involved in the offense. So many times these guys can get hot that you get limited opportunities every game. Number 7, this assuming they don't get Jimmy Butler, although they very well might. I have the Heat at 45-37. 45 is a projection without Butler. With Butler, I could see them moving up a few spots and winning maybe 48 or 49 games. And, they're going to get Dion Waiters healthy. Dwayne Wade back for one more season, his farewell tour. Hassan Whiteside's been tearing it up in preseason. Well, you might think, it's preseason. Is he not getting along with his teammates last year? He wanted out. He underperformed. He hardly saw the court in the first-round series with Philly. Whiteside, I think, will correct last season's poor attitude and going back to being the guy, I just want to get my 2K rating up. That Whiteside. They have tremendous depth with James Johnson leading them at the 4, Josh Richardson, Justice Winslow at the 3, Ellington also at the 2, Goran Dragic and Tyler Johnson playing the guard spots, Bam Adebayo and Kelly Olynyk up front. Just named a ton of role players for you, but they're everyone really except for Olynyk, defensive-minded, defense first. They're going to be one of the best defensive teams in the conference this season. That's why they're guaranteed a playoff spot. Dwayne Wade will get a postseason appearance in his farewell tour. You better believe every single Heat home game is going to be packed. They're going to be wanting Wade to be playing big minutes. He's going to be getting the MVP chance. What a career it's been for Flash, and he's going to help get the Heat, probably averaging 12 to 15 a night off the bench to the playoffs one more time. I wouldn't be surprised on some nights if he also fills in as a starter. But nevertheless, Butler or not, they're getting to the playoffs. If they trade Butler, they'll get Josh Richardson. Or if they trade Richardson, they'll get Butler, who's going to be their leading scorer. And I think they are more than capable of being a terrific low-end playoff team. And at number 8, you can tell by the shirt, we're going with the Cleveland Cavaliers, because there is no clear 8 seed in the East. Those 7 teams should all get in no matter what. The Pistons will be fighting for this spot. The Bulls will be fighting for this spot. The Hornets, the Nets, the Knicks, the Magic. The Hawks probably won't be, but almost any other team in the East will have a shot, really, at the 8th spot. We're going with the Cavs. But yep, LeBron being gone will not keep them from the playoffs. They are stacked with veteran leaders. And J.R. Smith, we're ignoring Game 1 of the Finals. Everyone makes mistakes. He's had a controversial career, but he's a big-time scorer, shot maker, and he dazzles with his handle sometimes. And then Kyle Korver, longtime player in this league in his 16th season now. George Hill still around to help mentor. And now Kevin Love, Minnesota Kevin Love, one of the best big men in the NBA as the top option. I think he's going to have a major season. The offense won't run as smooth, but I do think that he's going to score in the ballpark of 24 to 26 a night with 12 to 14 rebounds per night. And then Colin, the young bull, Sexton. He's going to have a terrific season. I think he's my Rookie of the Year prediction. I think Colin Sexton is going to have a very good year. Whether or not he's starting or coming off the bench to start the year doesn't make a difference. They took him at number 8. It was a great selection for this team. And then Jordan Clarkson and Rodney Hood, whether or not Hood starts or comes off the bench, he and Clarkson, guys that can get their own. Clarkson in an offense that isn't dominated by one player does very well. In LA, he was averaging between 14 and 16 a game, primarily off the bench. Occasionally as a starter, Jordan Clarkson, one of my X factors for the Cavs' success this season. Cedi Osman, likely the starting 3. He's got a lot to prove. He was working out with Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant this summer, just the 4 of them. Cedi Osman is the real deal. He's got a lot of fans back home. He's got a lot of Cavs fans rooting him on. Such positive energy. Dellavedova earned his way with hustle. That's how he really got in and did what he does. He hustled after it. He was undrafted. He made his impact. Cedi was a second-round pick of the T-Wolves in 2015. Nevertheless, he's here now. He's got a wonderful opportunity. He is that 3-and-D hustle guy that they have been looking for with Dellavedova gone for the last few seasons. The Cavs are going to go 43-39. Tristan Thompson and Larry Nance will hold down the 5 spot with offensive rebounding for almost the whole game. And then we look at a possible lineup for the Cavs that'll get them this 8th spot, point guard, to begin the year. It'll probably look like this: Hill, Hood, Osman, Love, and Thompson. First 5 off the bench: Sexton, Clarkson, Smith, Korver/Decker, and Nance. A lot of options. David Nwaba, great defender. They're going to have plenty of guys. Channing Frye, he can come in, spread the floor, hit the 3. It's going to be a fun year, 43-39. They will make the playoffs. Right behind them, I have the Pistons at 41-41. Reggie Jackson has really the worst luck when it comes to staying healthy. Blake Griffin's been in and out of lineups for years. That's why the Clippers traded him after promising that they'll have him forever because of his injuries, and they were worried about all the money they just invested to him. Andre Drummond is a great player, but he's not going to put wins up for your team. Reggie Bullock will hit the 3 for Detroit. So will Luke Kennard. They added Zaza and Calderon, but that doesn't make them a playoff team. I just think injuries and inconsistencies, even with Dwayne Casey, will keep them out. I have the Bulls as my 10 spot, 39-43. Probably going to drop them 5 or 6 games with Lowry Markkanen out to start the season. Bring in hometown homie Jabari Parker. He can score the rock. Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn only going to get better. And then Antonio Blakeney should excite on the second unit, while Wendell Carter Jr. makes his case for Rookie of the Year. And right behind them, 37-45, could subject to change, the Charlotte Hornets. Kemba Walker due for another big year, likely all-star. Could it be his last year in Charlotte? He's going to get a massive payday that he's deserved for. He's never made more than $15 million in a season, Kemba Walker. He deserves more in this league. He's come a long way from his rookie year. He's been here. He's the all-time leading scorer in franchise history. But will he get enough help to even have a chance at the 8th seed? Batum has not played up to the expectations of his big salary. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist has continued to be a bust. Malik Monk going to have to be a big-time scorer for them this year. Marvin Williams can 3-and-D as good as anybody in the league, but he's not going to win games for you. The center spot, they brought in Bismack Biyombo, who's got 2-year, $36 million on his contract, and he's hardly touched the floor in preseason. I think you got to start Biyombo. It gives you the best possible rim protection, and go from there. Cody Zeller in a contract. Well, he already got paid, but he's got to show that he's around and committed for the long term. Frank Kaminsky, he's okay, but he's nothing special. So that's it for this edition of SportITood NBA Playoff Preview Edition. I'm Zach, and we will see you later. 5 days until the season. Get excited.